Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another edition of the Nuke Stream. Today, we're going to be talking about how to never get flaked on again. It is one of the biggest pain points in dating, especially young men, where you get flaked on, and nothing will kind of ruin your motivation to go out there and meet women and date and all that stuff and being flaked on. Um, as men, we don't really do this to each other. We have varying kind of like levels of honor. We honor our word, honor what time we're gonna be in places and all that stuff. But women aren't exactly like that. And men usually find this out after a long time. We project our own morality, biology, whatever onto women. They don't deliver on that, and then we get mad and frustrated. And the opposite sex does this as well. They think that men are like women, like themselves, and then they project their values, their code, or what they want, or who they are onto men, and it doesn't pan out either. And everyone ends up frustrated, right? So yeah, we're gonna get into that and all that. So first off, when you're in your dating kind of it's starting out, right? You're gonna find yourself being flaked on a lot, and this is like why a lot of guys in general give up, and it's because of that. It's because, hey, they didn't understand the f- the flaking and how it works and why women flake, or when they're about to flake and all that stuff. And you can't blame people because for a new person it's difficult. They don't understand the signs. They can't see they can't see the flake coming a mile away, like most guys experience can. And there are different ways men cope, and we're going to talk about that too. But for the most part, uh, men need to understand that flaking is just another part of dating. But as you get more um, experience, you're going to experience it less. Um, and to define flaking, flaking is basically you show up on a date and she doesn't show up, right? Let's define flaking there. Or you're on your way and she flakes. Um Flaking doesn't happen until you leave your house as well. And that's what I want to get into too, in terms of how to never get flaked on again and never have to deal with the consequences of a flake, which is your time, money, energy, investment, all that stuff. So um one of the we'll start with the first thing you must understand is that IOIs in terms of dating mean much less than they used to back in the day. I know a lot of guys get excited when a girl finds them cute or anything, but remember, the only IOI you really care about in the beginning when you first meet a woman is that she shows up on a date. And this is really tough for guys because men, we have an ego. We want to believe that that cute girl find us attractive, or that one woman we dance with really has the intention to meet us and all that. But as you can see over the years, with women very publicly showing their behavior online and laughing about it, open hypergamy and all that stuff, that's not the case. Now, that is not to say that every advance or every action a woman does doesn't mean anything, right? But you just don't take it as seriously as you used to. There are times where I'm with my friends, and it could be in a social environment. Let's take the dancing scene, which I participate in, and my friends will be like, "Man, that girl's super into you," right? And she's giving me the eyes and all that stuff across the room, right? Like, "Hey, come dance with me," and then I go dance with her or talk to her or wherever, and maybe I even get a number, an Instagram, or a date or something, and then later on, 2 weeks later, a friend of mine asked me, "Hey, what happened to that one girl? You guys seemed like she was so into you, right?" And then I have to tell him, "Hey, like nothing. She was not interested." And a lot of guys don't understand. What do you mean she's so into you? And I'm like, yeah, but you know, you watch what they say, not what they do. If a woman does not show up or flakes or decides to change the date or text slowly or whatever, the medium is the message. And that's the problem with IOIs is that men have first have we have our egos and we want to believe that women think we're awesome. We have the competition, we want to prove, especially newer guys, we have something to prove to other men that women want us. So we buy into every single advance that a woman does. Um, and on top of that, we don't a lot of men want a clear signal to approach a woman beforehand because they're afraid. They're scared of being rejected. So you want a strong signal, you want a green light before approaching. So you don't so the chances of you getting rejected are lower, right? And these are all understandable things. Don't beat yourself up. You have an innate biology that you have to contend with. And this is part of it. Like you have to buy into IOIs. Um and uh in terms of all that, you need to forgive yourself and you need to contend, yeah, like I said, contend with your biology and kind of, whatever it is, what it is. So yeah. Uh, Marty's in sales says, Nuke, did you see the German guy that was trashing American girls? He never had a girl flake into an American girl did. Yeah, that's basically what the show's based on today is that post. Um, obviously the Reddit posts are very are very they create a lot of engagement, right? Because those Reddit posts usually, if you find the good one online, they create a lot of engagement because they hit on pain points that guys have when dating and women too. And one of the pain points is that, American women are not so great, right? Um, and a lot of passport bros or guys that seek women other places, they have this thing where they want to be recognized. They want you to recognize as well how bad it is in America. And obviously they're just trying to they're just very excited that they found women that tend to be more invested and maybe more well behaved to them in their eyes, right? It all depends on the man. So this what the story hit on was that a lot of men feel alone in their quest for women and they hit these countries or these situations and they want other guys to see how bad American women are, and that's why that post was so popular. Um, but all in all, this is one of those things where it has less to do with the country, or and I know it's hard to see, right, and more to do with how you do business, right? Um, Culturally speaking, a lot of what how women are in the United States is because men really don't have the same standard collectively, right? Collectively as other countries. I talk to my friends in other countries, and they're like, "How could you allow this?" or "How did you deal with this?" or "How is this a normalized?" And I'm like, I don't know. I honestly really, I don't really think about it. Like, this is what I've always dealt with my whole life. Obviously, I got raised in Puerto Rico a little bit, and that was before social media really took off. But that was the plain point of that article is that a lot of guys, instead of maybe, kind of using their brain a little bit and maybe thinking, what am I doing wrong? They just like default to going to other countries. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad idea. I'm not saying that's a good idea. I'm simply saying that at the end of the day, you have to kind of if you don't want to travel, or you think it's a big investment, you have to deal with what you have here. And if you want to deal with what you have here, you have to play it smart and be intelligent, right? And there's a way to do business here that's different in other countries. Women are women in every single country, right? But the societal expectation and the norms are different, and women adapt to those because they don't want to be ostracized from society. And here we're pretty free. It's a pretty much free for all. There is really no morality or honor or societal expectation for women here. So they You have to adapt to that. If not, you will be angry all the time. You'll create these like victim complexes in your head. And for what it's worth, if you do everything right and then you say, "Hey, I just can't," and then you go overseas, I mean, you're better equipped anyway because you are now at a heightened awareness over yourself and your tendencies with women, as well as you understand women from a very visceral point of view. Whereas when you go to another country, yes, the men there maybe have more expectations and are more have higher expectations of their women, but at least you yourself have the advantage of having dealt with some of the most difficult dating situations in history, right? So yeah. Um, okay, so we're gonna go through this. Please ask questions. Please super chat. This is a topic that this will help people, and we have to move on from this. Hey, women bad thing, right? Like, yes, you know, there's a lot of things that we have to deal with now, right? And you are simply adapting. You didn't ask for this. I didn't ask for flaky women. I didn't ask for any of the problems with dating, but I have to adapt. And if I want to get laid, or if I want to have a relationship, or any of that, I have to play it smart, be intelligent. This isn't about Machiavellianism. This isn't about what should be or what's right or wrong. This is about what works and what keeps you sane and away from these bad situations, which is like staying at a date where no, the girl doesn't show up, and everyone's like looking at like poor guy and all that stuff, and you wasted all your whole afternoon, your whole night, just waiting for a chick, right? So let's do that. Um, okay, so like I was saying, stop caring about IOIs. They're not that important. The IOI you really care about is she showing up to meet you, right? Because remember, that's investment on a woman's part. You're testing for investment. And we'll get into the reason of how to test for investment before a date, so you don't end up like trying to negotiate a sweet deal for a woman to get on a date with you, right? So um the IOI, yes, it's important. Yes, in a social setting, it will definitely kind of key you into women knows you're alive and knows that you're paying attention to her, and vice versa. That's good. But you don't get excited or jumpy over a woman that even gives you her number. I don't care if you're at a pool party and she grabs your junk. That is still not an IOI you should be super excited about, right? You have to have amused mastery. You have to, kind of tease her, and like if she does a sexual advance, like pool parties are very this happens at pool parties or places where it's a sexual zone, but also, people are half naked and all that stuff. There's going to be a little bit of, and alcohol's flowing. I don't care if she's like feeling you up at a pool party, right? You play it cool. It's not an important IOI. Not until you are alone with her, right? That's why PUAs would try to isolate women, because they knew in a public setting, women do things um, to impress their friends. Women do things because there's other people around, that so they feel safe. Women do all these things in public performatively and even online. So in order to like garner attention or make their friends laugh or just be in the moment, have fun, right? The alcohol. But it isn't until you are alone with her and she volunteers to be alone with you, whether it be on a date or, hey, let's go off to the side and all that, or wherever. Uh, that's what matters, because that is her showing you like, hey, I trust you to be alone with you, and I want some one-on-one time to get to know you, and whatever happens, happens. Um, and that's first important IOI. The only one you should take very seriously, because in that moment she is communicating to you that, hey, I am giving you the green light to take it to the next step, right? So I don't care how sexual and I don't care if you go to an anime rave or a pool party and she shows you her boobs, right? I know that's like for the average guy, it's like, wow, she really likes me, but deep down realize that it, there's there's bouncers around, there's other men around. She's doing that because she's silly and she's slutty and she's drunk and all that stuff. But none of that screams investment in you personally. It could have been any guy. So IOIs, don't take them seriously until it's, hey, you are alone with her. And that's the most important thing. Now, after you're alone with her, and let's say in the context of a date, she shows up, right? Understand too that that's a big sign of investment, right? She drove across town, she shaved her legs, she canceled a call with her mom, she walked her dog earlier, she went between like three dresses, she was nervous, she checked in with the group chat, she turned on her location, she hates driving to the city, but she did it anyway. Um, that's a lot of investment. As a guy, you should recognize that to an extent. Like a woman getting up out of her house to go see a stranger, right, that she thought was attractive. And that's why you should also rise up to the challenge as well. That's not to say, um, you know, do things extra or simp or whatever terminology we're using. It just means like, hey, put on a nice shirt, put on some nice clothes, some nice shoes, fix your hair, show up present, right? Get some rest the night before, right? Be on your A game, and all that. And the topics you choose, don't like really talk about your work or your problems. Be charming, be attractive, don't be unattractive. These are the things. This is how you pay her. You don't pay her with money. You pay her with these things being hot. And being hot, as you have a base set of attractiveness every man has. But if you guys do the research and give a shit, then you'll find out, hey, this facial hair looks the best on me, or this hairstyle, or this clothing style looks really good on me. If I wear a fitted suit, it looks really good, right? If I stopped buying cheap Marshall or TJ Maxx tier colognes and I bought something good, maybe $100 cologne. I myself, I'm gonna invest in a $370 cologne because as a man, it shows investment, shows care, and that's what she wants to see as well. A lot of the complaints of women that actually are dating with intention and not wasting men's time for sport is that men don't try. They just show up and they just don't try. And you could separate that, right? But until you get that IOI investment that she decides, hey, I'm going to do all these things to get ready to meet this guy, then it doesn't matter. Don't think like, hey, but she didn't show up. I'm all these things. I make six figures or I'm this feet tall or like it doesn't matter, dude. It doesn't matter, right? Don't put the cart before the horse. There's a stepped protocol or algorithm or whatever you want to call it. You have to follow. You cannot put one before the other, right? Everything has to come in steps. So yes, show up on your date, um, and show up in the right way. Ready to have fun, charming. She doesn't care about your problems. She doesn't care how much money you make, right? At least not yet. She just wants to have a good time. So on top of that, uh, we'll build on top of that, and so another way you can tell that a woman will flake, right, is um how do I word this? Is the message frequency, right? When you're, let's say, in the context of a dating app, you match with a girl, and she's excited. You even FaceTime or call or voice messages, whatever you do. Highly recommend voice messages, by the way. Um, and you do all these things before the date. You text, you set up, and all that, and then you notice that like it's Monday and the day of the date, and maybe she sent you a meme or something in the morning, and then doesn't message you until 3 hours later. Not a big deal. And then it's like 1 hour before, like 2 hours before the date, still no messages and all that stuff. That's okay. 1 hour before the date and still nothing. Just expect a flake there, right? As you date women, um, attraction has an expiration date. It isn't the same as the night she met you or the day she matched you, right? She could have been in pajamas with her friends in her apartment, and she matched with you, and they could have giggled and had a good time. And they were messing around, and it's just like, oh my god, I dare you to meet him. And then comes the day when there's no one around, no social pressure, and then she's like, you know what? No, I got better things to do. Right. So look at the message frequency. If it starts to really be notable that she's messaging you less, then expect the flake. This usually happens in situations where you are forced to set a date like more than 48 hours down the road, where you're going to have to do a little bit of texting and a little bit of voice calls and voice messaging or FaceTime or whatever to keep her kind of like interested, right? And that's why I say, 48 hours is pretty much all you have to take a girl on a date. You don't have a week, you don't have 3 days, 4 days, right? But if you're forced to, like for example, you're out of town and your Tinder just pops off and you have this hot chick that says, "Hey, let's meet" or something. You have no choice, right? You have to say, "Hey, I'm not back in town until this day," or any situation that keeps you out of town or just busy, or you have work, or you're working a night shift, or you have to wait to get to day shift, whatever your situation. And it's hard, right? You do the best you can. Like, don't blame yourself. It's really not you. Um, but we'll get into that too. So, message frequency, very important. It will show you her interest level over time. Um, Now that's not to say that she will it's an automatically guaranteed no, but I would say like 90%, 95%, whatever, 80% chance that she's gonna flake, right? So that at least in that situation, you can start managing your expectations. I would not like plan something else differently with friends or anything like that. I would just, like, hey, like she's probably gonna flake. I'll probably stay home, clean, or play some video games or something like that. It's not a big deal, right? And get used to that. It's not really a flake because you didn't leave your house or anything like that. Um, so uh, that leads me to my next point is that date closer to you. Um, as you guys, especially the young guys in the chat, as you guys gain more money and there is this belief that saving money and grinding it out, and you don't need this, and you don't need that. Like I myself, I had to, I'm decluttering, and I went on a little minimalism journey and all that stuff, and I got rid of a lot of things I don't need, right? And that's kind of like trending right now, where you live as cheap as possible. But the thing is, I could sit down here all day and talk about the benefits of living in a more walkable, expensive part of the city, especially close to the city, or if you're living in the outskirts of a city, the little city centers within those towns. Um, but it is worth it as long as you have the right attitude and you're going out. All my friends that live around here, they kind of follow my logistics advice and it goes very well for them. So the biggest benefit of living close to where the action is, where the hot chicks are, and uh, the bars, the wine bars, the event centers, the nice parks, all these things, the brunches, all that, is that besides there always being hot chicks around you, because these places tend to attract, very attractive women, upper middle class, smart women, is that also you're close to the dating venue, meaning that you can just say, "Hey, I know a place that you would like," and then you say it, and it's literally down the street from you. And if she doesn't show up, you're not even out of your pajamas yet. You're not even showered yet, right? It's like nothing happened. It's like, "Oh, well," and then you go back to playing video games, or you go back to, uh, doing some work, or you go back to, taking a nap or whatever. There was no investment. The only investment you had was you had a little bit of an expectation, that a woman, um, would show up, but you didn't leave your house, right? Literally the bar or the wine bar or the sports bar or the coffee shop or wherever is literally down the street. No harm, no foul. You didn't do anything. And guess what? That frustration that builds over the years for women flaking goes away. And just because you paid $300, $400 more for rent per month, but now you have this big benefit where you don't have to drive to go see a girl, right? Obviously, there are, like in the post I alluded to, there are trains and public transportation in cities, depending on what country and what part of the United States you live in. But honestly, it's better to just be chilling watching anime or chilling on your couch watching Netflix, and then all of a sudden she cancels, and you're look down and like, hey, I'm still in my pajamas. I'm good, you know. And for you guys that are advanced, that's you could just call another girl and be like, hey, what are you up to? What are you doing? Blah blah blah. And it's problem solved. There's no need to go bitch on the internet. There's no need to go type up uh a life story on Reddit, or there's no need to be bitter and angry and all that stuff and be blackpilled. It's just you hacked the game, and part of the hacking the game was like, hey, I live in an area where I don't have to drive or go far to go on a date, right? So give me 1 second, guys. All right. So let's take a quick break, and we'll be back. I'll hit you guys with this one. All right, guys, and we're back. Quick break. That was good. So yeah, so basically we talked about, hey, stop caring about IOIs. They're fleeting. Sometimes women don't even know that what they're doing. Another thing is watch her message frequency. If it's slowly, if even the day before the date it takes her all day to get back to you, then she's probably trying to soft reject you, and she doesn't know how to do it. Um, Date close to you, which is what we just talked about. It literally is a game changer. Your logistics is your future and destiny in dating. If you have um good logistics, it will save so many headaches. So many headaches that really you will wonder what took you so long to like care about this part of dating. Everyone is worried about the money. And yes, like for example, you do need money to live in a nicer area, right? Everyone cares about the fitness. Yes, you do need a decent physique to stand out. But honestly, it doesn't matter how jacked, how much money you have if you're not where the women are, right? Or where the women want to be. And if I live in my neighborhood where there's brick, half the streets are made out of brick, and there's trees, and it's clean, and then immigrants come in the morning and clean and cut branches down and all that, and cut and plant flowers, and there's Maseratis parked around the corner, and Porsches, and all that. You know, I think that sends a message to a woman beyond money that hey, this is where the fun is at. I live here. If you want to be part of this fun lifestyle, then you know, and it works. Obviously, women do already go to these places already, and especially young women, they have money and they love to spend on going out to brunches and alcohol and going out to these places to get hit on by like upper or harder working men. And I get that, right? I get that they're enacting their sexual strategy. You can't really get too mad. But at the same time, if you are where the girls are at, um, then it's gonna be 10 times easier, and you're gonna have all this leverage. And that's the point of this, is to have a little bit of leverage so you can enact your sexual strategy better. Um, and it's really that simple. It's not, it's strategy. It isn't moral, it isn't immoral, it's just strategy. So you don't lose your mind, right? So a couple things I wanted to mention too is that a lot of guys, what they'll do is they'll set up multiple dates in a day. Um, and like, unless you're traveling, you don't have a lot of days left and you want to sample the local girls, right? And you can't afford to waste time on one. I would say if you are like in your home country or your home wherever base or whatever, um, this I don't think it's smart to like try to set up a second or a backup option or another backup option, right? I say this because As you get older, first off, the alcohol and staying up late and all that stuff wears you down a little bit more than usual, right? So if you have an opportunity to not drink alcohol because a girl flaked, then take that opportunity. Use that time to get ready for the next day, clean up, get set yourself up, maybe go make some money doing something else or whatever, work on your side business or simply watch a show that you want to catch up on, right? Um, it sometimes it feels like guys have something to prove or they can't handle a rejection, so they need that kind of that kind of validation from another woman to ease the burn. And I get that. Like that. I'm not saying that's bad, right? But as you get older and you just kind of see women as a means to an end, and you kind of accept that they see you as a means to an end, and you kind of grow out of the whole egotistical, hey, women uh, like your worth is defined by women, you kind of don't care. Like, oh, she flaked, cool. Now I get to stay and play video games, or now I get to, hey, I'm gonna call my mom or something. Like you see it as an opportunity rather than a strike on your ego, and that takes time to get to that point. But just know that scheduling multiple dates for one time. I would only recommend that if you're like in another country and you're visiting and you don't have the luxury of not enjoying you have to you wanna enjoy the local women, but you don't wanna boil it down to one girl and put your eggs in all one basket because, you have 4 days in the country or a week in the country. You wanna, like, do as much as you can and all that. So, um, yeah, uh, yeah, so not it's not smart. It's almost like you're still in her frame because you have to ease the pain and rejection with another girl, right? Like I said, when I was talking about, I think a year ago or maybe longer, the cookie in the pocket theory will help you here, right? Which is, as you gain experience with women, as you understand how to reject them, how to let them leave your life, and all that stuff, you will have women that will come back to you, right? They will be back in your orbit because you simply were so confident and relaxed when they left your life. You have facilitated their exit out of your life, sorry, that they will just orbit. They will keep tabs on you. They will show up where you show up, right? They will, maybe drink a little bit more than usual around you sometimes after the relationship ends. And then you'll end up hooking up with them. And that's what happens. A lot of guys say, look, I'm going to set up dates with new girls. But like, hey, it really boils down to this. When you get older and busier, is my reproductive problem solved? Did I have sex as a need, not as a ego? Hey, I got something to prove, or I can't handle rejection. So let's say you do, hey, I need to get laid. It's been a while. I don't have a girlfriend or anything. And this girl flaked. Great. I'm gonna call this girl, see what she's up to, and you'll have maybe one or two girls that are like, hey, like I'll be right there. Or the next day they'll be like, hey, I can come tomorrow. And these girls are already hooked up with them. They have no reason to flake. And if they do, they'll they know you. They'll schedule like, "Hey, I know that you do this on this day. How about I come over there?" And then boom, problem solved, right? And that's how you date intelligently, guys. And this is the whole point. It's not about dating to be better than anyone or to show off on the internet. It's about dating intelligently, keep yourself safe and well fucked, and to build a positive sexual identity, right? When you stack multiple dates in one day, apart from the situation I just said about being in a foreign country in a situation where you don't have time, um, you're still kind of in the frame of the girl that rejected you because you're trying to like uh you know you're still trying to like prove something to someone, right? I saw this TikTok as a TikTok or an IG reel where this girl is like, I texted him after I flaked, and it showed him with just another girl, right? To the girl that flaked on him. And I'm like, a lot of guys are like, wow, that's so cold, that's so cool. I'm like, no, dude, he's still in her frame. He's still trying to prove to her, like, yeah, I'm attractive. I got girls. Just because you rejected me doesn't mean I. He's like, dude, just let it go, right? And um, handling rejection. I did a video on that. Is simply there's nothing you can say when a woman does not want to meet you. That you don't have to like. Obviously, never explain or rationalize like, hey, why did you do this? This is messed up, or hold her accountable, right? I know guys that are swear by that, like, "Oh, you when a girl flakes or does something wrong, you have to, like, tell her off." And I'm like, "She doesn't like, women don't care about the opinion of men they're not having sex with." Right? I say this all the time. It's like men everyone forgets that for some reason. And it's truly, like it boggles the mind that I'm just like, "Hey," like, "She doesn't even know who you are. She doesn't wanna meet you. She doesn't care." Right? So what's the problem here? What are we trying to communicate here? That you're bad? They don't care. How many times do guys when are guys gonna learn not to appeal to a woman's morality, right? Like, hey, if she flaked on you, she flaked on you. The medium is a message. She said fuck off, and you do it, and that's it. There is no cool way to exit that situation besides not messaging, right? Even in an okay, you don't even need to do that, right? Simply, hey, goodbye. No texting, just you'll get that paragraph or she won't show up and all that. Nothing. There's nothing you can say or do to make yourself look better or worse. There's only you can only make it look worse, right? I'm telling you guys, any girl that's flaked on a first date has never gone on a date with me ever again after that, right? There's no reason to have them on social media. There's no reason to have them around. They never wanted to go out with you in the first place. They entertained the idea, but they never wanted to go out with you in the first place. So just don't there is nothing you can say. A lot of guys want to appeal to a woman's sense of morality. It's 2024, guys. Like I see it on the timeline, guys quote tweeting OF chicks and be like, look at this, look how horrible this person is and look how evil and all that stuff. And I'm like, dude, she doesn't care, right? She does not care. Stop appealing to a woman's sense of morality. They don't have the same sense of morality we do. Please move on from that, right? So yeah. Um, in terms of let me see, anything else, in terms of I like, mm, trying to jog my brain a little bit. Uh, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. You'll never once you follow these simple rules, like, you'll never get flaked on again. It's over, right? It's over. Another strategy before I forget would be, always plan a low investment date, right? Don't try to sweeten the deal to get a girl to come see you, right? Because you don't have to why are you negotiating with a woman to come see you? It's like either you want to or no. It's either a fuck yes or a no, right? So what guys do is they feel like, hey, I gotta throw in a little bit of money or a free dinner or something to get her on to my program, right? You may have the lifestyle of a guy that like, hey, I go to dinner anyway, so what if she comes with or not, it's okay. Especially in richer men, wealthier men, you know, uh for example, let's say you go to a 4 or 5-star restaurant on Thursday nights. That's just your thing. Like, "Hey, would you like to join me for that?" Right? Those are situations where it doesn't matter if you're getting flaked or not. You're doing the thing anyway, and it's about you having fun, right? However, the problem with that situation is that, um, you're setting expectation, already, right? And if you have the money to be in those situations, sure. I'm not gonna tell a grown man what to do. But, for the most part, there are certain things as well that maybe hobbies or things that you enjoy that you don't want a new girl that you barely know to be a part of. Like, for example, my friends, like I have friends that like to take dates to salsa night, first time they meet. And the thing is, yeah, and logically speaking, either way, you're gonna have a good time because if she doesn't show, you can just dance with other girls, meet up with your friends, connect with your culture if you're Hispanic and all that stuff, great. But the thing is too, if she does show up, now you're trying to force fit your hobby into a girl, and she may even find it sexy and all that, but understand that is that environment conducive to, like, being isolated and talking to her, right? I have done that before where I've taken I don't think I have. I think I did once where I'd taken a girl to, like, maybe a dance night, right? And I forgot, "Oh, it's loud," and now my friends are here and they're distracting me, right? And there's guys that don't understand, like, that she's with me, so when I go to the bathroom, there's guys hounding her for dancing until they see me. There's nowhere to sit. There's no place to isolate her to, right? So and also she's more worried because she's self-conscious because of the dancing, and she's never danced publicly in her life, right? And you see how, that the strategy of, like, "Hey, I just invite her to a place that I go to where I have fun anyway," it could backfire, right? So be conscious, make sure that that hobby or thing that you do, you're gonna do anyway, is conducive also to meeting a woman. Now, are you a busy guy and this is the only time of the week you have to, like, socialize? Yeah, then you do the best you can, right? But just know that ultimately the number one thing is to find a girl, isolate her to a quiet place to be able to talk where she feels comfortable. And your hobby or your thing that you do every week may lend itself to that, but it may not. So, that's gonna take a little bit of using your noggin and, assessing whether it's worth it or not to bring a girls around on your busy schedule to where you go anyway. But yeah. So, yeah, let's catch up on the comments, see if there's any good comments in here. Guys, if you like to leave a super chat, all super chats are appreciated. Uh, Loves this title's extra funny at the moment. Why? Facts happen. Like, Listen to Ghost by Ryan Carey. Oh, we all ghost at some point. At least someone thought we did. Also getting a break from Jay. Next flaking us. No, I am not. Uh, is it just fire? Thank you. It is pretty fire. Yeah, haha. That's funny. Talked about that. I sometimes get that last minute cancel for an implausible reason. I usually just say okay and I assume it means she changed her mind about seeing me. Yeah, like I made that video a couple weeks ago about, like, how was it no video or article Substack about, hey, um if it's better to just be ghosted than it is to have an explanation about why. And the reason is, uh it just seems like, first off, the reason doesn't mean anything. It's like she's just trying to be nice. She's not trying to, you know, be honest or forthcoming. She's just saying something using therapy speak and all that, and it's disingenuous, it's not real, right? Hey, just say, "Hey, I don't like you." It would be better, men would be able to figure it out from there, you know? The American Girl thing, most girls everywhere flake these days. Yeah, the number one complaint, my foreign friends that come here in the United States to date, they have a lot of complaints, and um, it's like women are masculine here and all that. Like, hey, if that's what you're dealing with, that's how you see it. Um, it is what it is, right? And guys, women don't really flake because sometimes they flake because there's just so much going on in a city, right? Like, there's concerts, there's events, and all that. Women have ex-boyfriends where they're still kind of attached to emotionally. Some guys simply got there first, and a lot of women don't want to sleep with, like, multiple men in a week, so fast. So it makes them feel slutty, so they flake because another guy was the right guy at the right time and slept with her first, right? So never take it personally. It's not you, right? However, don't follow these strategies, and you won't be on a date kind of like, hey, confused as to why she was so into you and the IOIs and all that stuff, and um, she showed you all these IOIs and had intent, right? But remember, actions speak louder than the words. The medium is the message, right? And these things are here to protect you and keep you safe. So yeah, don't count your chickens before uh, they hatch. Uh, to be honest, that makes a lot of sense. Women do seem to be handing out IOs like Kenny. It doesn't mean shit, right? Even online, like, when a woman likes your story doesn't mean shit. Anything, guys. I'm telling you, just take IOIs with a grain of salt. I don't care. Like again, if she grabs your junk in a public place, right? The only IOI that matters is she wants to meet you privately somewhere, right? Anything in public doesn't matter. Women are performative. They'll reject you just to feel better. They'll grab you, they'll fondle your body just not to feel better, but for attention, just so people can see, wow, she's crazy. Right? I've seen it happen. It happens to me all the time. There are times when women are like, groping me, fondling me, dancing a normal song, and then I'm like, "Wow, this girl really wants to have sex with me." And then the moment I suggest, "Hey, let's go somewhere quieter," like the other side of the bar, there's a speakeasy at the other side of this building, and she's like, "Ill, what?" Like, see what I'm saying? Like that right there is there. That's how you know, right? So don't take it with a grain of salt. Right? This is what separates goobers and guys that don't date and black pillars and incels or whatever from men that are locked in and switched on. Is that men that are locked in and switched on have a mastery of these of women and realize like, hey, I don't give a shit about um what what women say. It's their intent. I want to see what they're gonna what how cool they are with being alone with me, and that's all that matters, right? Uh, some of the hottest woman I, dated. Like there's a bottle service girl I dated early this year, and when I met her at bachata night, um, we just danced. It wasn't any like, the dancing was very kind of normal, nothing crazy, and I just said, "Hey, do you want to go back to my place? You want to hang out at my place?" And she said yes. She showed me much less IOIs than the average girl who just wants attention, right? So IOIs don't really matter. It's it's just a thing, right? We live in an age of women being performative for clout, for approval, for attention, whatever. So take it for what it is. Yeah, 2 IOI is primary and voluntary just because some lady had to play smiles, for example. That's not IOI. Yeah. Oh, okay. Um, location. All right. Thank you for the membership, sir. You get one of these. Where is it?
Thank you so much, best friend.
All right. So if you guys have any more questions for me, anything you guys want to ask me, if not, that's all I have to say on the matter. Emails in the chat. Some people have been trying to communicate with me, so that's my email in the chat. I should be checking my email more. I was out for the holidays and all that. Very interesting um week last week. So yeah. Anyways, guys, follow Substack. Fashion Guides out. It's about $30, I think. $30. Um, and yeah, follow me on Substack. It's $7 a month if you guys want to read my stuff. I'm 25% done with my dating thread series. And I'll probably start dropping alcohol articles more frequently. So, oh, thank you.
Thank you so much, best friend.
All right, Matthew W with the 199. Howdy, fellas. Hey, howdy, Matt. It's nice to have you here. All right, guys. Well, that's all I have. You guys have a good night and take care.